Potter profile on Madame Hooch, a Cast a Spell series. Rolanda Hooch was born prior to 1918. She taught herself to fly on a silver arrow broomstick at some point. One night, during the Great War, 1914-1918, her broom was singed by a Muggle anti-aircraft device, which she found personally insulting. She declared that the only thing she found more humiliating than that incident was when a student jinxed her many decades later, in 1991. She attended Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in her youth and was a member of her house Quidditch team. However, it is unknown which Hogwarts house she was sorted into. Sometime after her student years at Hogwarts, Rolanda was selected by the Department of Magical Games and Sports as the Hogwarts Quidditch referee. After being selected, she underwent a series of complicated and rigorous tests, both written and practical. Rolanda's duties at Hogwarts included being the flying instructor, the Quidditch referee, and the coach in charge of all broom-related activities. She was now referred to as Madame Hooch and was respected by her students because of her liking for fair play and clean games. In addition to teaching, she had other important roles like checking the brooms for dark charms. She was given an office located somewhere in the castle, in which the crate which held the golden snitches, quaffle and bludgers was kept safe under lock and key when not in use. During the 1966-1967 school year, Madame Hooch refereed the 1967 Hogwarts Quidditch final, which became famous as the highest-scoring match in Hogwarts history. Future Wigtown Wanderers star player Ethan Parkin led his house to a 580-570 victory. The team had been trailing 420-570 until Parkin led his team in a power play to score a goal. And soon after, the team's seeker caught the snitch, leading to the victory. The match became legendary for its high scores and exciting final moments. During the 1980s, Madame Hooch continued to teach first-year students basic broomstick handling and flight skills. She also taught more advanced maneuvers to later years. In 1991, first-year Gryffindors and Slytherins had their first flying lesson on Thursday, the 12th of September. The instructor, Hooch, had the broomsticks ready despite their quirks. During the lesson, she taught the students how to summon their brooms and hover. Sadly, Neville Longbottom from Gryffindor had an accident and broke his wrist when he kicked off too early and lost control. Madame Hooch checked Neville's injury and then escorted him to the infirmary. She warned the students that anyone caught flying without supervision would be expelled immediately.
None of you is to move while I take this boy to the hospital wing. You leave those brooms where they are, or you'll be out of Hogwarts before you can say Quidditch.
Despite that incident, when Draco Malfoy threw Neville's Remembrall into the air, Harry Potter skillfully used his broom to retrieve it, impressing everyone with his natural talent. Thanks to Professor McGonagall's intervention, Harry was not expelled, but instead offered a spot as the Seeker on the Gryffindor Quidditch team. Shortly after Halloween, Gryffindor played against Slytherin in the first Quidditch match of the season. Madame Hooch, the referee, reminded both teams to play fair, especially addressing the Slytherin team. She started the game by releasing the bludgers, then the golden snitch, and finally threw the quaffle into the air to begin the match. Because there were numerous fouls by the Slytherins, Madame Hooch awarded several penalties to Gryffindor. The Gryffindors emerged victorious when Harry Potter, the new Seeker, caught the golden snitch. Later that year, Madame Hooch was replaced as the referee for the Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff match by Professor Snape. He wanted to ensure that Harry Potter's Nimbus 2000 was not cursed again. Some fans believe that Madame Hooch may have felt a bit offended by this, but J.K. Rowling has not confirmed this speculation. In August 1992, Hooch visited Diagon Alley and hurried to Flourish and Blotts to meet Gilderoy Lockhart, the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. She was a big fan of his and his books. In the following school year, Madam Hooch refereed the Gryffindor versus Slytherin Quidditch match. During the game, Harry Potter, the Gryffindor Seeker, was targeted by a jinxed bludger. The mystery arose as to how the bludger got jinxed, as it had been securely stored in Madam Hooch's office. She had to pause the game briefly for the Gryffindors to deal with the rogue bludger. After a discussion, they chose to resume the match to avoid forfeiting. Later that year, the Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff match was cancelled by Professor McGonagall just after Madam Hooch had started the game and released the balls. The reason for the cancellation was the discovery of Hermione Granger and Penelope Clearwater petrified near the library. Towards the end of the year, Madam Hooch and the other staff members were summoned to the staff room by Professor McGonagall, who was acting headmistress in Professor Dumbledore's absence. McGonagall informed them that a student had been taken by Salazar Slytherin's monster into the Chamber of Secrets. Upon hearing this news, Madam Hooch felt too weak to stand, sat down, and inquired who the student was. It was revealed to be Ginny Weasley. At the end of the year, Harry Potter and Ron Weasley saved her, and the school went back to its usual schedule. Madam Hooch sat next to Snape at the leaving feast. Soon after the start of the 1993-1994 school year, Madam Hooch officiated the Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff Quidditch match. The game had challenging weather and poor visibility. However, Dementors, who were meant to guard the school, disrupted the match. Harry Potter fell off his broomstick, allowing the Hufflepuff seeker, Cedric Diggory, to catch the golden snitch. Following the Fat Lady's attack by Sirius Black on Halloween, Professor McGonagall requested Madam Hooch to supervise Harry's Quidditch practices on the pitch for his safety. During the festive season, Harry received a firebolt broomstick as the anonymous Christmas gift. McGonagall suspected it might be from Sirius Black. To check if the broom was safe, McGonagall entrusted it to Madam Hooch and Professor Flitwick, who would carefully inspect it for any curses, hexes, or jinxes.
It will need to be checked for jinxes. Of course, I'm no expert, but I dare say Madam Hooch and Professor Flitwick will strip it down.
Strip it down?
It shouldn't take more than a few weeks. You will have it back if we are sure it is jinx-free.
After Madam Hooch and Flitwick confirmed the firebolt was safe, they returned it to Harry for his Quidditch practices and matches. Hooch was fascinated by the broom and talked about it excitedly. However, the Gryffindor Quidditch captain, Oliver Wood, reminded her they were there to practice, not discuss brooms. Despite being tasked with watching Harry, she dozed off in the stands while the Gryffindor team trained. Madam Hooch refereed the match between Gryffindor and Ravenclaw. The game ended when Harry Potter caught the golden snitch, giving Gryffindor an additional 150 points. The final match for the Quidditch Cup was Gryffindor versus Slytherin, with Madam Hooch as the referee. The match was intense, with Madam Hooch noting numerous blatant fouls. She was furious at the Slytherin team's cheating, giving Gryffindor 5 penalties as the match got rougher. Harry Potter caught the golden snitch, securing the Quidditch Cup victory for the Gryffindor team after nearly 7 years. In 1994, the academic year was focused on bringing back the Tri-Wizard tournament, so the Quidditch Cup for 1994-1995 didn't happen. The Hogwarts Quidditch Stadium was used for the enchanted hedge maze for the third task. Madam Hooch likely only taught flying to the first-year students that year and maybe helped with the tasks. Umbridge disrupted Madam Hooch's Quidditch schedule in the 1995-1996 school year by giving detentions to players. Despite this, Hooch refereed a match between Gryffindor and Slytherin where there was a lot of foul play. During the match, Crabbe from Slytherin hit a bludger at Harry Potter, causing him to fall. Hooch scolded Crabbe for the foul and then saw Harry and George Weasley confronting Draco Malfoy. Madam Hooch sent the two of them to Professor McGonagall's office, where Umbridge banned them from the Quidditch team. The ban was lifted after Umbridge was sacked. Madam Hooch's flying lessons may have been checked by Umbridge that year, and since she wasn't fired, it seems they were satisfactory. In the 1996 to 1997 school year, Madam Hooch refereed the Quidditch match between Gryffindor and Slytherin. She released the snitch, bludgers and quaffle before the players took the field. During the game, Slytherin seeker Harper intentionally bumped into Harry, trying to mislead him. The Gryffindor fans wanted Hooch to penalise Slytherin for the foul, but she missed seeing it. The match ended with Harry catching the golden snitch. At the end of the year, Death Eaters attacked the castle. They fought against the teachers, students, and Aurors. It's unclear if Madam Hooch joined the battle. After the fighting stopped, Albus Dumbledore was discovered dead in the middle courtyard. People paid their respects to him by raising their wands. It's likely that Hooch attended Dumbledore's funeral since they were long-time colleagues. In 1997, Snape became the headmaster of Hogwarts, with Alecto and Amicus Carrow as deputy headmasters. In May, they were attacked during the Battle of Hogwarts. Madam Hooch likely joined the battle. She was probably there when Harry Potter defeated Voldemort, ending the Second Wizarding War. The Hogwarts Quidditch pitch was burned down during the early stages of the battle. Madam Hooch survived the war and stayed on as the flying instructor and Quidditch referee at Hogwarts. During the calamity, she assisted the Statute of Secrecy task force in honing their spellcasting skills while flying on her broom. In September 2017, she taught Albus Potter but was unimpressed as he had difficulty getting his broom off the ground. As of 2020, at the age of at least 102, Madam Hooch was still teaching.